guys, welcome back. We're going to be making a little purse, and this time I wanted to buy a pattern so that you guys who've never sewn, maybe you're more comfortable starting with a pattern. And I chose this one because it is a basic purse, but you could really run with it once you understand what you're doing when you're making a basic purse. You can add pockets, you can add decorative elements. You can really have some fun when you're making purses. And if you're new to sewing, this might be a good way to start. So, very few pieces and just kind of getting your feet wet with using a sewing machine. This particular pattern has got 5 in it, and they're all very basic. So what I mean by basic is this is just like a little half circle purse and just a little strap on it. So very basic, but now you could take that and run with it. You could add pockets on the front. You could add pockets on the sides. Down on the inside, you can add multiple pockets. You could add decorative hardware, make your strap longer than that. You can do a lot of things with a basic pattern once you learn how to, make your basic purse. So we're going to just make a cute little purse, and I decided to start with A instead of doing one that had ruching and things like that. We're going to stick with a very basic one to show you how to make a purse. And what comes with your pattern when you buy it is, you'll see all the instructions back here, and it'll tell you how much fabric you need to buy as well. And then if you are using scraps at home, you'll know if you're going to have enough fabric. When you open it, you're going to have these instructions. So it'll be like purse A, and it will tell you what pieces you need to cut out, how it's best to put it on your fabric to get the most out of your fabric. It's going to tell you what interfacing you need to cut for the purse, and it'll also show you the lining. So once you get all of that cut out, you'll jump back over to the instruction sheet. Oh, and when you're new, this could also be handy for you to know about. It's going to tell you how they've coded your instructions. So if you see this, you're going to know it's the right side of your fabric, for example. If you see a little picture that looks like this, you know it's interfacing. And then it's going to give you some tips about trimming and corners and things like that. It'll give you a little glossary if it's making references to things so that you know what you're looking for. And then the next thing you'll see is purse A, and it's going to explain to you step by step what you want to do. So for example, apply your interfacing and it'll show you the parts that you're going to be using, or the pieces. So we're going to make that little purse, and I'm just going to take you start to finish on it, and I'll find some little girl that might want this little basic purse. Okay, so when you pull this out, you're going to see I've already cut the pieces apart. It's huge sheets of this thin little pattern paper. And so I knew I'd probably eventually make all of them. I just went ahead and cut out all of the pieces and then folded them back up to put them back in the envelope here to keep them together. Okay, so when we reference this, purse A, it shows us that we need to use 1, 2, and 3, which I've cut out 1, 2, So I've cut out 1, 2, and piece 3. It's also going to tell you on here, piece number 2, it's thin, so if it doesn't pick it up, I'll just read it off. But this is the gusset, and it says you're going to cut out of your fabric, cut 1 on the fold. Right down here, it says that's the center fold right here. And then it also tells you to cut one on the fold out of the lining fabric, and then interfacing, cut one on the fold. This strap is not cut on the fold. As you can see down here, it looks totally different. You know, it actually shows you your stitch lines, okay? If it was on the fold, it's going to look like that. It'll actually say it, and it always has those little arrows pointing. And this one is going to tell you to cut 2. Fabric, cut 2. Lining, cut 2. Interfacing, cut 2. And you have no idea how much I want to jump in and add to this, but I want to keep this basic so that I can teach you to read the pattern, cut everything out, and sew together, very basic. As we go, I'll kind of show you, now you could do this, you could do that, you know. But we're going to stick with a very basic little purse. Like I said, I'm sure I can find a little girl to give it to, and then we'll just go from there. Oh, one other thing I want to show you. Right on the front of this one, it shows you, it has a line to show you where to place a pocket. So when you're making the lining, for example, if you want to put a little pocket on the inside, this is where it would be placed. So it has literally everything to show you what to do. Okay, so let's grab some fabric and lining and interfacing. Okay, so I'm going to show you things that I don't normally do just because I sew a lot. But again, I want you to know what might make it easier for you. So I cut my lining and my fabric out all at once because it's a thin cotton, so I knew it wouldn't be a problem. But if you were using corduroy or something heavy like denim, you probably want to cut them out individually. So down here, well, let's start right here. I'm going to take these apart. On the pattern, there are notches right here and right here. In case it's not showing up on the camera, they're just little V's, little notches. Go ahead and take the time to mark those. Now, I'm not using a fabric pencil today. I wanted to use just a colored pencil that I think will show it maybe a little bit better. But you can see on the pattern how, you know, you're taking a good seam here, so this is not going to be seen what I'm doing. But you can either make a notch or you can just put a little spot there so you know where that notch is at on the pattern. Do the same thing over here. Flip it over because this one's cut on the fold. So now you want to do the other side. Just measure it from the bottom down here so you know that you're marking in the right spot. Your pattern's laying right there. You just want to come up here and mark it. And again, just mark a little spot there. And then when you open it up, you can see those little red dots there. Or I'm not sure if the camera's going to show it, but you can see the little red dots are marked. And then You'll do the same thing with this piece. Lay it down. You can also just put pins in if you want, or you could take your scissors and just snip a little piece of the fabric. I'm not a fan of that, but a lot of people do that. Okay, so those are both marked. And also right here, let me go ahead and fold that back in half. Or actually you won't have to. On half of this, go ahead and lay it back down again, because it has marked, let me see. It has two little circles here marked. So just go ahead and add another mark there. Do the same thing on this one. It's just giving you your midway point, really. But you can go ahead and mark that. Now, I'm going to show you this because I couldn't resist. Okay, so this tells us to cut 2 out of the fabric, which means which fabric your purse is going to look like. In this case, it's a little yellow plaid one here. I thought it would be cute to cut 1 out of that and 1 out of the lining, since they match so well. And then the underside of my strap will be the lining. And I think this is going to be the outside of the purse, and this will be the inside of the purse. So the underside of my strap is going to look like that, instead of having the underside of the strap out of the same material. I just think it'll be cute, little contrast. This one doesn't really have anything on it we need to mark. When you look at it, there are no notches anywhere, so we can lay that one aside. And then we can grab, our purse and get all the pins out. Okay, so right here, I'm just going to slide it over so I can mark there. And then there's one down here at the bottom. Okay, there's a little circle down here at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that. And then over here is another notch. So we just want to mark that. And then there's nothing up here to worry about. So we're going to end up with 4 of these, the front and the back of the purse, and then the lining. Okay. Also, if you were to get a pattern you really like and you think you'll be using it a lot, I would recommend either making you a copy onto cardboard or plastic and cutting it out, because it doesn't take long to wear through this thin little tissue paper. Now that everything is cut out, everything is marked, I will meet you at the iron, and we're going to attach, oh, I didn't show you, I already cut out the interfacing. We're going to iron on the interfacing. Okay, so I've got the right side of the fabric down on the ironing mat, and the bumpy side of the interfacing is laying against the back side of the fabric. And then I've got a piece of parchment paper. I'm just going to lay it over both pieces here, if it'll fit. We may have to do one at a time, and that's okay. And I have a hot iron. Now what I'm doing is by putting that bumpy side down on the fabric, that's the glue side, and so this is melting that against it to adhere. And all this really does is give a little bit of structure. The cotton's not going to stretch. It'll give it a little bit of, I don't know if stiffness is the best word, but basically that's what it's doing. So it's not really floppy, you know. And I don't worry about things like, if you can see right here, I had trimmed this just a tad bit smaller, like you can see a little on the edge of the fabric there. And I did that because it's really a good habit to get into. And if this had been thicker fabric that I'm working with, like a corduroy or a denim, it wouldn't hurt to come in about 1/4 of an inch smaller on the interfacing. And that's because you don't want a lot of thickness where you're going to be sewing. You know, it can get bulky really quick. So that's just a tip too, if you're using a thick fabric that you might want to cut. Just get in the habit of cutting your interfacing about 1/4 of an inch smaller than the fabric itself. Okay. So that just gives it a little bit of stiffness. Now we're not doing that on the lining piece, only on this piece, although because it is a strap, if you wanted to reinforce that strap and make it just a little bit stiffer, you could definitely put interfacing on this side too. Alright, so this is the gusset, which is basically the bottom of your bag and then coming up to the sides, and the lining piece. And the same reason that I didn't put on the lining, I didn't put the interfacing, because I don't really want or care if the lining is stiff or not. But if you wanted to, by all means you could. There just comes a point that it might be wasteful of your fabric to do that. So we have everything ready now to go to the sewing machine. I did say that I am going to put a little pocket on the inside. I may even put 2. So, and that I'm not going to put the interfacing on either. I'm just going to take some of this fabric, I think, and cut a couple of rectangles to put little pockets on the inside. Okay, so I wanted to jump on here and show you this little bar that I've got here. It's just a decorative thing for purses, and I want to put it on here. I'm going to put it on the front of the bag, and right here in the center. This is, I could see, I counted the little daisies or whatever that is, and this is pretty much right in the center, right here. So I'm going to lay this down here and just put a couple of little marks. And I'm going to use a seam ripper, and I'm just going to poke a hole. And then very carefully make it just big enough for these little metal pieces to go in. Now this is before any sewing. The only thing we've done so far is put the interfacing on. So now I'm going to just poke this through. And then flip it over. And it comes with one of these little grids that you'll slide over it, and then just push those out. Or you can push them in, either one. Now what I want to do is I just picked up another little piece of interfacing here. I'm going to lay it right down on top of it and just press. And I'm going to press it long enough to just let it adhere down. And you can get decorative things like this. You can personalize them. If you had a business, for example, you might want to put your business name on there or something like that. But this was tiny, and this is going to be a small purse. So I thought, well, that'll be something cute there just to be decorative. So now we are ready to go to the sewing machine. Okay, so I thought I had my camera turned on and didn't, but basically all I've done is sewn these little four-sided pouches that I'm going to use as pockets. And this one, on one side, on the inside of the purse, this is the lining, and this is not in the pattern. The pattern just has lining, no pockets. But I'm going to add pockets. So, okay, if I put that there, that's a fairly deep little pocket because I'm going to have it going across the lining. So what I'm going to do is just flip this over, and I want to sew right around through here. Now I can trim that extra off. So now, on the inside of the purse, there's going to be a little pocket right here. And on the other side of the purse, we're going to add just a small pocket, like this. And I'm just going to stick it right in the middle there. So I'm going to go ahead and just sew. This one is just in a small spot, so I really don't have to even put a little stitch there. I probably will, just to make the U, make everything easier. Now I could also sew it on like this, but since that one is so big, I figured just a small one on the other side will be fine. Okay, so what it's having us do now is add the zipper. Now, if you weren't adding those inner pockets or you weren't putting this on, we would have gone straight from, you know, putting the interfacing on to the sewing machine. And the first thing you're going to do is put in the zipper, and I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm using a zipper that is too long, and we will just adjust that as we go. Okay, so we're going to start out with the front of the zipper. There's the zipper pull. Flip it over so that the front of your zipper is face down on the front of your purse. And then you want to bring over the lining, and we want the pocket face down. Right on top of the zipper and the front of the purse. And you can match up your little corners here, there, and right here. We're just going to put a little clip on there, but you could also pin. And then just come on down. Make sure the zipper's still in place. Okay, now, once I get close to that, I want to open it up and unzip the zipper and just push it. I want to push it behind where I'm at now so that that bunching up doesn't cause us a problem. So I'm going to lift that just long enough to push my zipper back. So now, when we open this up, this is going to flip back like this. Oh, I'm a little off on this end, but that's okay. It's nothing that it's a purse, so we can fix that inseams. So now, you can see how the zipper is going to open right here at the top of your purse. And then when we flip that over, you'll see the lining is going to be showing on the inside of the purse when it's unzipped. So now we want to make sure these are pushed down nice and tight, because when we're sewing this down, it's so that the zipper doesn't get caught in the fabric later. As long as this is top stitched down, you know how when you're unzipping it, you wouldn't want it to get caught in fabric and stick. So we're going to go right over here. You can feel it on the underside and on the top, but if you feel better, you could always pin it. Okay, you can see that's nice and smooth, and it's on the back as well. So now, while our zipper is right here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the same thing on this side of the zipper that we had done over here. So on this one, we're going to line up with the right side of the fabric against the right side of the fabric, because once we sew that down and it opens up, you'll see the front and the back of your purse here. Okay, so we want to go ahead and line this up. So if you remember on the other side when we sewed it, the right side of the fabric, or the one with the pockets that's going to show, it was against the back side of the zipper. I'm just going to grab a couple of pins here for a visual aid. So we've sewn that together, and then just like before, we're going to flip it open like this and top stitch it down, so you'll have the front of the purse and the back of the purse. And then when you look at the other side, you have the two linings with pockets. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to take these pins out and line it up and clip it together. I'm going to pull both of those around. Just like before, we want to make sure that they're both laying nice and flat so that we can top stitch it down. So let's grab our instructions. Now this is where they put, if you wanted to add a pocket, you could go ahead and add a pocket. I like doing it beforehand so that I'm not fussing with it while it's already attached to a zipper. But you could do it either way. Okay. Grab the second paper and look, where this has been folded for so long, it's already tearing. That's why I said I would suggest, making pattern copies on cardboard or something like that. Even the instruction sheet's wearing out. Okay, so this is where we're at now. The pocket's on and it's attached to the zipper. So now what it's telling us is we just want to enclose it now. So what it has us doing next is the gusset, which is the sides and the bottom. So the gusset is the one that's kind of wide at the bottom of your purse and then tapers up to the sides. You have a piece for the lining. You also have a piece for the outer shell. Okay, so on the outer shell, let me get that opened up here. Remember, we made those little marks, the little red marks, and we made little red marks on the gusset. So we're going to match those up. So right here, we have a little red mark here. We're just going to lay it right against this one as a reference point. And we'll pull this up and give it a pin. And then you'll just carefully maneuver it around the corner here and put pins in. And right here at the bottom, remember, we also made those two red marks. Another place that we want to make sure is lining up. And I'm going to finish pinning and then I'll bring it back. While I feed this in, I think instead of starting from one side and pushing, I'm going to start from the outside and feed this way. I think that's going to be easier to make sure it feeds in right. This way it's going to be even no matter which way I'm going. It's feeding from the center out. Now when we're coming around curves, you really just need to go slow and make sure there's no pleats. Pleats are not the worst thing, but the goal is not to get any pleats. As you can see, it's not looking too bad coming around through there. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And just to give you a little look at okay, now we got to leave it like it is though, because we want to pull this side up and do the same thing. Now before I do that, I want to unzip the zipper, and then we're going to do the same thing right there. I do want to show you one thing a lot of people do. I don't necessarily do it, but anywhere that there's this little curve right here, they take the scissors and they put a few snips in like this, being very careful not to cut the seam that you just sewed. That way it kind of spreads out into the curve. So just something to keep in mind in case you want to do that. It is recommended. Now that we've done that, we're going to do the same thing to this end. We're going to grab the gusset. There's my little red spot. And I'm doing the same thing on this as I did on that side. So I won't make you watch me pin everything or sew it. The only difference is whenever I'm sewing this side, the last side, I'm going to leave room that I can get my hand in there to turn the purse. Okay, I'm on the last seam, and remember I told you I needed to leave a little space here to get my hand in to turn the purse. So I've back stitched over here, and I'm going to come over to the other side and drop my needle back down. And start sewing again. So there we've got the outer part of the purse and the inner part. We'll go back to our instructions. Alright, so now it's telling us to stitch the straps together. Now if you remember, instead of doing 2 of the outer shell, I did both so that the underside of the strap would match the lining. So we're just going to flip these over, and we're going to sew 2 straight lines down the sides. Now we just need to turn this right side out. Now this has the interfacing on it, so it's going to be a little bit stiff. So to just take your time and work with it until you get it turned right side out, and then I'll bring you back. Okay, so we've got this turned right side out. I'm just kind of rolling the seams there. And then we're going to top stitch it so that it doesn't twist around like this. We'll just put a couple of seams right down the sides. Okay, so we have our straps sewn. Okay, so I've got my strap tucked down inside. So we're seeing the top of the gusset, we're seeing the strap, and we're seeing the outer shell. And now we just need to sew that together. Okay, so that closes up a little different from any other purse I've done, but it'll probably work. So we've got both sides closed up. And now we want to just turn it wrong side out and see if we need to do anything else or if that took care of it. Alright, so now we are turning it right side out just to have a quick once over, since I've never quite done handles or the purse straps this way before. And everything looks good. Make sure the zipper's okay, and it is. Alright, the last step that we have is we got to pull that lining back out. Remember, we left a hole to turn the purse. So now what we want to do is just fold this together and just do a quick little stitch. Now, we did this just so that I could show you how to follow a pattern to make the purse. I will tell you, you can see how loose this is, right? Because we sewed them separately. I don't like a purse like that. I don't like one that the lining is not attached at the bottom. So that's why in the other video where I did the denim purse out of jeans, we did it a little bit different. The way that we did it the last time, all of this was sewn together, and then you could see on the inside where they were attached. I like that much better. I think you don't have that loose lining on the inside to deal with. But this is the way the pattern was written. I did want to show you how to follow the pattern. So, here we are with a very basic and simple little purse. On the inside, you can see we have a pocket here and a pocket over here. And it's a very lightweight little purse. That's why I said I'm going to find a little girl to give this to let her just play with it. So there you go. I have shown you how to follow the pattern and make this basic little purse. And just remember, you can, once you make one purse, you kind of get the feel for it. I am going to make another purse, though, where I do the lining the way that I did on the denim purse, because I just think it's better. But just know that once you find which one you like the best, and then once you make a few purses, you'll realize they are all very basic. They're very similar, and so you can start playing with it at that point. Put you a pocket on the front, put a pocket on the back, put a zipper pocket if you want, you know, different things like that that you'll be able to do. So I hope you guys aren't quite as intimidated now about trying to make a purse. I think something like this, if you want to learn to sew, this is the best thing to do, because your seams are forgiving. You know, if you make too wide of a seam, it's only going to affect the size of your purse. Versus if you were trying to learn how to sew on a blouse or a skirt or something like that, if you mess up your seams, you mess up how it fits you. Or if your hem, if it rolls on you and twists, that's going to look really ugly, you know, on a skirt or a hemmed bottom of a shirt, versus, you know, learning on an object like a purse, or even making placemats or something even that basic. If you want to learn to sew, make it on something like this. Once you're comfortable with your machine, with making the stitches, then maybe you could graduate toward clothes. All right, so I hope you guys have a good week this week, and I'll see you back next week.